Hi, this is Summer with Summer's Tips and Stitches, and today I'm going to show you how to make this wrap. This exact wrap is it's made from sweet rolls I got at Joann's. It's a V-stitch wrap, so I will show you how to get started with making this. Okay, just one moment. For this wrap, I'm going to be using Red Heart Super Saver Ombre, and I'm trying to find the color in Scuba. It's kind of odd, but anyway, that's what it is. So I am using the Red Heart Super Saver, which is a worsted weight. I'm also going to be using a J crochet hook, and in this video I'm using my brand new tulip hook. You also at some point will need a darning needle to help sew in your ends, and a scissor. Okay, let's get ready. Okay, you're going to want to start with a slip knot. This is how I start. I lay a tail across my hand. I put my thumb here. I turn my head or my hand, and I wrap it in kind of a X. I put my crochet hook under the first one. I latch the back strand and I pull it up. So now, the very first thing you're going to want to do is get ready to chain. Now for this wrap, you're going to chain 73, but the most important thing is if you don't feel you can do a loose chain, I would use a larger hook. In fact, I'll do that right now just to be nice for everyone. It's very important that you use either a larger hook, and this in the case is a K. This actually is not a tulip. This is a crochet, a clover more. Because if you do not have a loose chain, your work will curl. Now you can straighten it out a little bit when you add your border, but just to be on the safe side. So let's do 73. I might actually pause part way, but let's get started. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now do you see how loose my chain is? That's what you're going to want, a loose chain. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I'm going to pause and meet you at 73. Okay, so I have my nice loose chain of 73. Now if you would like to make this wrap with wider, you can chain it a larger number, but you're going to want to end on an even, so 84 plus 1. So I chose 72 plus 1 for 73. And this is a loose chain. Do you see that, friends? Like I said, it's very important because if you start crocheting on a tight chain, number one, it's going to be hard to find your stitches, and number two, it's going to curl. So for this wrap, I am going to go into the back loop. This is where folks normally would start, right into here under that first, but I turn my crochet chain over and look at this back loop. Actually, that reminds me, I'm switching back to my J hook. So this back loop is the one you're going to skip. That's why we did 73. And you're going to single crochet into the backbone of the chain. So single crochet is when you put your hook through, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And remember, you're looking to go through the back loop of the crochet chain. So you're going to loosely single crochet into your chain. As I thought I'd do a few of these so you guys can see. It's very nice to keep your crocheting loose, and because we skipped the first stitch to go across, we should have 72 single crochets in this whole chain. Do you folks see where I'm pulling from? That I'm not going through this part, I'm flipping it over and going through this back. The reason I do that is because it's going to give you a nice look on this side. See that? Now you don't have to add a border, I think, if you have a nice edge like that. This one I did add an edge to this border, to this wrap, but it is optional. So I had unraveled a lot of yarn before I started this, because I remember the last time it kept I kept having to pull it out of the yarn skein, and that got kind of annoying. So this time I was going to make sure that I didn't. I pre-pulled a bunch of yarn so I didn't have to keep yanking the yarn out of the skein. Typically I do like to cake my yarn, but when I'm going to use a full skein of yarn, like I probably will use all of this ombre, I just like to center pull. And then I'm going to show you guys a little funny trick I do when it comes to finishing this, because I love you guys, and I definitely appreciate all the time everybody's spending watching my videos, but I don't think I'm going to sit here with you and crochet all 90 rows. I mean, once you get a couple rows of the V-stitch going, you're pretty much going to know what to do. And to be honest, you could make it shorter or longer. I like the longer wrap. As you could see when I showed you on my beautiful mannequin Juanita, I like to have it go across my back and to be able to fold up on my shoulders, especially for those fall and winter days when you are quick running out to check the mail, grab the paper, holler at your kids to come in. It's nice to have a wrap that you can just have draped over the chair near the door. So anyway, I chose this ombre color because currently I'm fascinated with teal. Last couple weeks it was purple, and now I wonder how much you guys can actually hear my kids. Right now I'm down in my craft corner, and they are actually upstairs doing chores. Okay, I'm almost done chaining or single crocheting in the back hump, back loop, the spine of the stitch, if you will. I might pause here to just get to the end. I can't pause for too long, otherwise though my camera will shut off. Okay, here it is. Here is my single crochet, all 72 stitches of it. Now, I don't technically have a pattern for this. This is just something I decided to make. So what I do here is I first chain 3. Now, typically, if you remember my last video when I showed you that little swatch I did to hide this gap here, you're not going to need to worry about a gap with this one because you're going to skip this first stitch. And so I don't chain 2, I chain 3, because that last chain, as you can see, folds over and goes above this stitch. So chain 3, skip this stitch, this spot here, because that's underneath your chain 3. You skip this one, and you're going to yarn over and go through this third hole. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and so you're going to put a double crochet in there. Then you're going to chain 1 and then you're going to go back into that same stitch and do another double crochet. So that is how it starts. This is the first V-stitch. I do chain 3s or double crochets all the way up this edge because you're going to use this to put your border around if you choose to border your wrap. Skip this stitch, yarn over, and put a double crochet or a V-stitch, if you will, in the next stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And that is the pattern. Skip this one, V-stitch, and a V-stitch is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. All the way across, that is what we're going to do. Skip that one, V-stitch. This is actually one of the very first wraps I ever made. And I was coming off the kick of, if you remember from my crochet story, how I just used to do rows and rows of double crochet. And so I kind of got, I saw the V-stitch once, and I thought, well, that might be fun. And so instead of rows and rows of double crochet, I did rows and rows of the V-stitch. There it is. And so you are going to go all the way across. I did not count them out. I suppose I could. But, so you skip one and then V-stitch. And the V-stitch is a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. I'm really liking my tulip hooks. I would say I probably like them almost 100% of the same amount that I like my Clover Amour hooks. So in the next video or so, I have a whole bunch of ideas coming up for you folks. I got a lot of good content coming up. One of the next videos is going to be me talking about my crochet hooks. Comparison or a review of the Clover Amours versus the tulips. So that's coming. So like I was saying, I like them almost as much as the clovers. And then another one, some friends have asked if they could see a video of me using my Swift, because they had not seen a Swift before. I actually did not know what a Swift was until maybe the last 2 years. I went to a fancy yarn shop with Tammy, my stepmother, and they swifted the yarn there, and I was like, oh my goodness. Whoops, I accidentally chained one. Can't do that, friends. The chain 1 goes in the V-stitch, not out of it. Skip one, V-stitch. And I guess when I first saw that Swift, I thought only yarn shops could have them. And then last year for Christmas, Tammy got one, and I was like, I can have one too? Now, my big time saver of pre-pulling all this yarn turned out to not be any help because it's all getting tangled. So here we are, we're just continuing with the V-stitch. I'm going to pause and meet you guys at the end because I feel like even though I love chatting, this tutorial, if it gets too long, will take forever to load. So I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so this is my last V-stitch, and then this is what I am going to do. Just one sec. Okay, so sorry, real quick. I forgot to tell the kids I was filming. Okay, so I did my last V-stitch, and then I'm going to go into the very last loop back here, and I'm going to chain. So, double crochet. So that is how it ends. So far, you did a row of single crochet, and then you did a row of V-stitch, skip a chain, V-stitch, skip a stitch. So now turn your work. We are going to be doing technically our third row. I chain up 3 for this pattern, and I do that because I like to have this nice tall chain for my V-stitch. Now, instead of going into each of these stitches here, you're going to be crocheting down into the chain 1 space between the V-stitch, right in here. So yarn over, do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Now right now it looks a little sloppy, but when you come back over, the stitch will be go right into there, and it'll make it nice and rectangular. So now that's all you're going to do for this next row, is to do a V-stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the chain 1 space of the previous row. Don't be tricked. Don't go into here. You're going to go into here. So that is the stitch that you're kind of skipping. And when you use the J hook, it gives it a nice loose open feel, which is, you know, kind of like a, see how nice that looks? That's what crochet, I think, is the beauty of crochet versus knitting. So this whole row, friends, this is what you're going to do. In fact, you're going to do this. I did it in my wrap for 90 rows. I did 90 rows of double crochet, or of these V-stitches. You can do it as long as you want, but if you want to have a nice wrap that can, you know, flip over your shoulder and kind of have a loose cowl look to your neck, then you're probably going to want to do it this long. The other thing you could do, if you wanted, is between each row, whoops, I did an extra chain there. Between each row of V-stitch, if you want, you could do a row of single crochet. I chose not to because I liked the look, and if you liked the wrap that was on Juanita, you're gonna like that look of the V-stitches coming out from each other. So we can finish this row together, but then the next thing I'm going to show you is the border that I put on this wrap. But yeah, that's all there is to it. This is one, like I said, one of my first projects that I made when I started crocheting again a couple years ago. And it looks, I think, really nice. Nice simple wrap, so if you have a present you want to make for someone and you don't have a lot of time and you have one skein of yarn or two sweet rolls. This V-stitch wrap, that's what I'll call it. I'm debating on whether or not I should write up a pattern for it, because I mean, it is pretty simple, and I'm sure there are other V-stitch patterns out there. I don't know about the whole copyright infringement. I mean, because this is really not a lot of design effort, you know. But I knew I for sure could do a tutorial on this, and a lot of you posted when I showed Juanita in my birthday video that you liked the shawl or the wrap that was on her, and this is what it was. I thought, oh, I can do a tutorial on that because I just made that up. I just sat down one day, started doing rows and rows of V-stitch, and probably watched a movie. So I'm going to pause and finish this row of V-stitch, and then I'll meet you guys at the end of your rows of V-stitch. Okay, there it is. That's what it's looking like. Okay, so I got to the end of the row, and what I want you to see right here, this is the stitch that I would go into right here. I would do a double crochet right here at the end. Do you see how nice and spaced out that is? This is what I'll do. Now, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and do all 90 rows with you. As much as that would be fun, it would take up a lot of time, and it would take like a million years to load this video up onto YouTube. As you can see, even though I went with a bigger hook, do you see it's kind of tight on the bottom? So keep that in mind. The border will fix that a little bit, but keep that in mind. That's why I even suggested going up a hook side. Now, one thing that I'm going to tell you, is that this is a trouble that I came across while doing this. Is let's say you're just cruising along doing your, remember, chain 3 up at the end, reach over and go right into the middle of the V-stitch from the previous row. Let's say as you're watching a movie or watching other YouTubers while you're crocheting and you come across a spot where you maybe did not finish your V-stitch. And I had that happen before. You can, of course, now if it just happened here with these 2 or 3 rows, I for sure would frog it, aka rip it out. But I'm going to be honest with you folks, if I was like 70 rows into it and then I noticed it, I might not. What I was going to tell you that you could do is if you looked right here and saw that you'd skip that, you could just do the V-stitch into a regular stitch and continue along your merry way. Nobody really notices when the project's all done. I would say though, personally, I probably would frog it. So that's something to keep in mind. The nice thing I think is about crochet is you can just rip out a few more stitches and go back and easily fix. For some reason, I really feel like this ombre yarn from Red Heart is real splitty. Kind of like the technical, like how Karen Simply Soft usually is. But that's it. This is what it is looking like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this row, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about what I did for my border. So maybe pause this video, kind of remember where you're at, so that when you're done doing your 90 rows, or however many you decide you want to do for your wrap, stop back onto this video and I can show you the border that I did. Okay, so I'm gonna pause right now. Okay, so I did my last V-stitch. I'm going to double crochet right into this chain 3, and that is finishing that row. Do you see how nice and straight that is? Now I'm going to grab the edge of the wrap off of Juanita here to show you. Now what I did when I put my border on is I single crocheted around the double crochet at the end. Do you see that? Basically, I just went right here. And remember, whenever you're doing a corner, do 3 single crochets in a corner. That will naturally turn it for you. And then each section with the double crochet, I did 2. That is what I did. You can just pretend this is a little mini version of a 90 rows. So you're going to do 3 in your corner and 2 double crochets into, or 2 single crochets in around each double crochet until you get to the end and back to this last row. On this side of the row is where I did my shell pattern. Here it is. So when I got to this end, let me zoom, focus a little better. I chained up 3, I skipped a stitch, and it looks like I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets into this V-stitch. Oh, you know what? That's the wrong side. Let's look at the other side. That's the top row. So when you do the top row, when you're going along, I put 5 double crochets into the V-stitch shell. That is what I did for the top border. Along the bottom, I did the same thing but backwards. How clever of me. I did it into the base of the, so let's do one more because you have to have 3. I double crocheted, and then into the base of my V-stitch I did 5 double crochets. 3, and that's, I think, a typical shell, if I recall, is 5 double crochets. I got yarn falling all over the place here. I don't think there's any easy way to do this. 3, 4, 5. And let's double check with what I did to see. And it looks like I didn't do anything between the shells. I didn't go back and single crochet. So you could do, after doing this, you could go into this space right here and single crochet and then do 5 double crochets into the base of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would give you this like curved look. Then go into this stitch and do a single crochet right here. And then do a double crochet into the base of that V-stitch. So you could do that. In fact, if I were to do it over again, that is what I would have chosen to do. So that is what I did. I just put a shell like that all the way around the bottom. Remember, in the corners, when you get to the top of your 90th row, do 3 single crochets in the corner and then 2 single crochets into around each double crochet that's on the edge, so it gives you that look for your border. And then when you get to the end, do 3 double crochets in the last, chain up 3, and start with your shell. And the base of the V-stitch, do 5 double crochets, single crochet into the next stitch, 5 double crochets into the base of your next stitch, into your V-stitch, single crochet, 5 double crochets, single crochet, 5 double crochets. And that's it. That is all I did. I suppose I could do that border a little bit more for you, but like I said on this one, look at that, friends. I left it. I did not single crochet back into there. Let's do that. So let's do this border all the way around, all the way here. So I like the look of the single crochet between the rounds of 5 double crochets. 3, 4, 5. Oops, I did not go through that one all the way. And then a single crochet right here. And then 5 more double crochets right here. That's all there is to it. That is the wrap. That's your edge. You do this on the top. You go all the way across the bottom. Then when you get to this side, remember, you're going to do 3 double crochets in the corner, 2 double crochets around each of these double crochets or the chain 3s on the end. That is all I have for this wrap. My V-stitch wrap. Let's look right here with the shell border. Okay, thanks for watching and subscribing. The thumbnail for this video will be my finished, previously finished V-stitch wrap on Juanita. And then the next video that I'm going to pop up will be a shorty, and that's just going to be showing you folks how to cake a hank of yarn. Alright, thanks for watching and subscribing. Until then, happy crafting!